But without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce our featured speaker today, Jenny Perolski. So Jenny is the lead ad strategist and founder of Ads Uncorked LLC. She's worked with both small businesses and global companies such as CBS, Schwinn, and Mongoose alike. Her goal and passion is to help businesses reach the next level with a holistic marketing strategy. Whether you have a team that needs training or assistance implementing the digital marketing plan, or if you need an agency with proven results to take the work off your plate, she can certainly help. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Jenny. Jenny, take it away.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Andy. And Andy, will you be putting up the first presentation here, or do you need a screen share?
Oh yeah, if you could go ahead and screen share, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Just going to pull this on over for you guys. Okay, so first off, like Andy said, I would love, while I am getting this pulled up on our screen here, would love to know who is joining us and where you're joining us from. If you're new to Zoom, or even if you're not, take a look down at the bottom. So we have a few different sections. There should be one that says chat. You might even see a Q&A. Go ahead and just drop a little mention for me. I would love to know who you are and where you are tuning in from. All right. Sharing this here. Okay. And Andy, could you just confirm for me that you guys can see everything here before I get too into the weeds?
Yep, I see your desktop with all the icons at the bottom, your home screen. So.
Okay, so you do not see my presentation right now. Okay.
There it is.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. Glad I checked before I got started. And Andy, just as a heads up for you, I can't simultaneously share and see people's comments. Just as a heads up.
Okay.
So anyway, you guys, there will be, so like Andy said, this is really going to be an all day long event, and please feel free to drop questions, comments. I will be taking breaks throughout the presentation here, and Andy will be relaying any kind of questions that you guys have at the end. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. So our very first session today, and you guys will see as we progress throughout the day, our first session is, I have it titled Connect and Convert with Facebook Ads. We're really starting at the basics, and we're going to be working through the course of the day, getting more and more into the nitty gritty. Also, like Andy mentioned, if you need to leave at any point during the day, we understand that many of you are working professionals. Just know that this is recorded if there is by chance a session that you might need to leave partway early or whatever it might be. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. All right, so hi, my name is Jenny. I am the owner of Ads Uncorked LLC. Like Andy mentioned, we have helped both small businesses and large businesses alike with their Facebook and Instagram ads. We really like to approach marketing from a holistic perspective. And you guys will see that throughout the day here today, that Facebook and Instagram ads, that's not the end all be all. That's not the final solution, as many business owners and agencies think that it might be. It's part of a holistic strategy. So you guys will see me diving into that a little bit more here today. We work primarily with e-commerce businesses. The reason I love them is because I'm very much a numbers and analytic data nerd. So anyway, e-com just comes really naturally to me, figuring out exactly what we're putting in and what's coming out of our Facebook and Instagram ads. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. In our first session here today, we are going to be covering how to maneuver Facebook ads in Business Manager, why you should not be boosting your posts, how to know if you're ready for Facebook ads, iOS 14, that's a big beast in and of itself. And then with the time that we have at the end, we will go ahead and create ads together within Ads Manager. Like I said, this is our first session. Take a look at all of the other sessions throughout the day, because you'll see that they kind of build on top of each other. But this first session here with me is simply laying that foundation so that we can go ahead and tackle all the other items that we need to get through today. Okay, so I would love to know, I am going to see if I can view where you guys are coming from. Let me open up my screen here. Would love to know who is joining us. I want to know if you work for an agency, if you're a small business owner, if you're a large business owner. Tell me a little bit about who you guys are and where you're tuning in from. Just going to see if it'll let me. And Andy, I hope it's okay. Bear with me as I'm just checking in. It looks like some people are raising their hands. Andy, is there anything I'm missing? Just
yeah, I'm trying to check here too to see if for whatever reason the chat box is not working. So I'll troubleshoot that and then I'll pop back in.
Okay, sounds good. Just want to make sure it wasn't something I was missing. Okay, cool, great. Well, sounds like I will know where you guys are coming from later. Andy, thank you for troubleshooting that. Just a little background on me. So I am coming at you guys from Gilbert, Arizona. I'm just outside of Phoenix. I am a Wisconsin native, but we moved here about a year or so ago. So anyway, that's a little bit about who I am and where I'm coming from. Okay, first question. Let's chat about how to know if you are ready for Facebook and Instagram ads. There are a few different things that I always recommend people have set up and ready to go before they even consider ads. So first, you need to make sure that you have a proven offer or product. What I mean by this is test it out organically. Know that the people that you are looking to advertise to, whether it's a product or whether it's a service, know that this is something that people want organically. You can try this out many different ways. If you have like an Instagram or Facebook profile, you can go ahead and interact with people. You can create stories, ask them if this is something that they want, but you should know that this is something that's working on its own before you put money behind it. What I like to say is that Facebook ads, they help exaggerate the results, whether good or bad. So if this is something that's working, Facebook ads will likely continue pushing you in that right direction, but also know that Facebook ads isn't going to fix something that's broken within your business. So you need to know that this is a proven offer and works already on its own. Next, the big one, this is a common question I get asked, and I know I had a couple of people send me an email before my session here today, just with some questions that they had leading into today. One of them is, how much money do I need to have set aside for ads to know that this is even a good idea for me? About $1,000 a month is my answer. We're going to dive into today how that all gets broken out, why I came up with that number, but know that around $1,000 a month is what I recommend for your Facebook and Instagram ads. Last, one thing to keep in mind with ads is that you need to understand that it could take a month or two to get it right. So you might set your ads live, but Facebook doesn't guarantee any kind of results for us. So know that it's going to take a little bit of testing for us to get it quite right. Okay, sounds like I probably won't be able to interact with you guys at the moment. I'm hoping we can to iron that out for future sessions. So anyway, my question is, how many of you guys have boosted a post before? If I did have my, let's see here. Let me see if I can click on this. Okay, I can see you all raising your hand. Okay. I'm afraid to break something, so I'm not gonna touch anything. But Andy, if you want to clarify, if I can, like allow Nicholas here to.
I'm still trying to troubleshoot and figure out where the issue is.
Okay, you're fine. Well, we'll just keep going. Nick, if you could just write down that question, I would love to answer it at the end of our session here. But maybe you were even just dropping a hand raise here that you've tried boosting a post before. I should say most people that I've worked with, whether they are small business owner, global organization, another agency, most people I've worked with have boosted posts. And I want to talk to you guys about how boosting posts is not the answer. Okay. Why should we not boost a post? And let me clarify what boosting a post is. When you are on Facebook, they make it very easy. If you have a page, they make it very easy for you to go ahead, click boost, you promote it, you stick maybe, $15, $20, $100 behind a post. Hey, there we go, Andy. This is what we're looking for.
That was me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm on it.
So anyway, that's what it looks like on Facebook. On Instagram, it looks like the promote button. So again, exact same idea. You can go ahead, take your post, send it out to a whole bunch of people. I have some really big issues with this, and I want to tell you why I truly believe that boosting is a waste of money. We have a really big lack of control when it comes to our targeting when we're boosting. So yeah, there are some targeting options. Yeah, you can, tell it who you want to reach, and it might seem pretty robust, but when you guys get into the back end of Ads Manager today with me, you'll see why it's really not a good use of your money. There are so many other additional options that we have. Also, you can't do split testing. So split testing meaning trying one message compared to another message, trying one image compared to another image. Testing is really the key ingredient to making sure that your money is being best spent for Facebook and Instagram ads. So that's another reason I don't like boosting, because you send out that one post and you're done. You don't get to test it against anything else. So you're likely leaving some money out on the table there. And then last, like I said, you're not getting the best bang for your buck. Additionally, it is difficult to do tracking properly. So when I set up my ads, my main thing that I'm looking for all of my clients is helping them figure out, what did you put in and what did you get out? With boosting, oftentimes it'll tell you, you had, 10,000 impressions and you had this many views and whatever. But I want you to really be thinking about today, at the end of the day, what is it that I want out of my ads? Is it that I want to have 3,000 views on this video? Or is it that I'm looking to get someone to purchase? Or is it that I'm looking to get someone to sign up for my email list? And I'm going to help you guys figure out today how it is that we can structure these campaigns to make sure that we have our end goal in mind, because that's truly what's most important. Boosting, I feel like, is kind of maybe last ditch effort isn't even the right word, but it's essentially what you're trying to do is get your message out in front of people, but it's not really supporting your end goal. So we'll kind of deconstruct that today and figure out what your funnel needs to look like. If boosting isn't the answer, then what is? All right, so now what I want to chat through is, what is a Facebook ad? So many people think of their Facebook ad as being, what they see when they pull open the Facebook app on their phone, but Facebook is also owns Instagram. So our Facebook ads can actually go on Instagram as well. There are many other additional placements, and I'll run through that on our next slide. All right, so showing you guys here, this is a traditional example. I'm sure you've seen this many, many times, an example of what an ad could look like on your phone. This is an example of an Instagram story ad. So if you are on Instagram, you'll see that every few stories that are posted, there'll be one that's sponsored. Sponsored just means that they're paying for it. It's an ad. And then same with over here on Instagram. It looks very similar to our Facebook placement, but on Instagram, just looks a little bit different. Here's a screen view of what that looks like. Okay, so let's dive into the placements really quick here. There are many, many different places that your ads can go. Facebook desktop and mobile, so meaning like on your computer and on your phone. Instagram, it can be on stories as well as on feed. It can actually go on Audience Network, which is other apps, websites, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Facebook Marketplace. We also have, there are countless others, right? Like we can now run ads to Reels on Instagram, which is super fun. I really love it. We'll dive into that a little bit here today. But as you guys can see, this isn't just Facebook ads delivering on Facebook. They can go to many different places. I definitely have my favorite placements, but Facebook and Instagram feed are generally where most of our ads are going, as well as with stories. All right, so what I would like to do here is go ahead and dive into iOS 14. And Andy, just as a quick little note to you, if you have figured it out at any point during this presentation, how to enable people to chat with me, just let me know, and I can pause what I'm doing to answer any questions that come up.
Will do.
Okay, awesome, thanks. All right, you guys, so I want to go ahead and chat through iOS 14. This is something that happened last year. Would love to know if any of you guys are familiar with the ins and outs of it. This happened around a year or so ago. And I get this question all the time. What happened with iOS 14 in 2021? How does this affect ads? What do we need to do about it? So I want to go ahead and dive right on in. So with iOS 14, people can opt out of tracking. That's kind of the streamlined version of what it is. People have the ability to opt out of tracking, which as a user, that's great. You should have the ability to say when you are and when you aren't being tracked. However, as marketers, I'm sure you guys have experienced, this threw a very, very big wrench in our plans for last year. Because if we can't if we can't reach people who have opted out of tracking, then what? Now what do we do? So not only can people opt out of tracking, but we also have a very shortened window as to when we can view what people are doing. So let me explain what that means. So before, someone could see our ad, let's say it was an ad for a shopping ad. People are ready to go ahead and make a purchase, but maybe they wait a few days, maybe they wait 10 days, a week and a half, and then they're like, you know what, I am going to go back and buy that product. We used to be able to see and attribute that back to our ads. if it happened maybe 10 days after they saw the ad. Now, unfortunately, our window is shrunk down to 7 days. So you can see again how this really poses a hiccup, because if someone saw your ad and made a purchase 10 days later, we no longer can attribute that back to the ad. So that was a really big thing to overcome and work through this past year. Additionally, this affects audience sizes. So I think, gosh, I was reading an article the other day, and I think they said as of late last year, 80% of Apple users have opted out of tracking. So that's huge. That's enormous. That's terrifying when you think about it. If the majority of our people who are, if the majority of people in the world are Apple users, and if the majority of those people are opting out, you can see that our audience that used to be this big is now much, much smaller. So anyway, don't worry, we'll chat through what to do because of these things, but I'm just trying to provide you guys with the lay of the land of like, what does this iOS 14 update, what did this really mean for us? And is it continuing to mean for us? So as you can see, our audience sizes have been greatly affected by people who have opted out. Okay, don't worry, there's good news coming. What can we do about this? My biggest shift in strategy for all of our clients this past year has been switching to what I'm calling an omni-channel approach. So what I want you guys to think about here is we're not just solely focused on ads anymore. We're now thinking about how can we spread our marketing message across all platforms that make sense to do so and support it with ads. Rather than having ads be the driver, let's have that be a supporting piece of your bigger marketing puzzle. So what this looks like is focusing on organic search, social media, email marketing, alongside ads. So that's just so you guys know, that's really a shift that our agency has gone through this past year, supporting our clients in multiple different areas of their businesses, not just ads, but figuring out, again, how it plays into the bigger picture for them. All right, logistically speaking, what can we do about these iOS 14 updates? So we can set up tracking within our ads. Actually, and I'll show you guys today, within Ads Manager, we can even set up additional tracking that can help assist in viewing a little bit more data. Second, one of my big takeaways from this past year is make sure that we keep our audiences as broad as possible. If we have a whole lot of people tracking out, we don't want to cast our net super small. We need to keep it still as broad as we can. Let Facebook do the heavy lifting from there. You know, we'll set our audience parameters and whatnot. However, we don't want to be as specific as we necessarily were before, because again, if a lot of people are opting out, you'll see that your audience is smaller, which will drive up your cost. And last, but probably the most important thing on this slide is that Facebook now requires us to go through a few extra very important steps before we can run ads. 2022 and before, what we were able to do is set up our pixel, set up our ad account, and ready, set, go. You can run ads. That's no longer the case. There's something extremely important that you must do. We have to verify our domain with Facebook now. I'm not going to dive too much into the nitty-gritty right now because I have a pre-recorded video for you. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out the VIP Day workbook that I created, strongly recommend it. This VIP Day workbook, you guys, it has literally today summed up in videos. There are so many extra pieces of content and knowledge that I'll be sharing here in our presentation today, but truly at the end of the day, I strongly recommend you take a look at this workbook because it has these tutorials of exactly what you need to do to get your ad account set up and running. So anyway, just make sure that you take a look at that after today's session. So essentially the extra things that we need to do would be verifying our domain, of course, setting up our pixel. And then what we have to do, an extra little step that we never had to before, is we have to rank our events and let Facebook know what's a higher priority for us versus a lower priority when it comes to our ads. So anyway, I've got a full-on tutorial for you guys diving into that. Okay, cool. Thank you, Heather. So Andy, it looks like I can see questions now. Heather, I will be answering questions here at the end. I want to stick just on the same track right now, whoops, and answer any questions specific to iOS 14. What questions do you guys have before we go ahead and move on to a little bit of a screen share? And actually, that's a great question, Nicholas. So are we aware of any additional changes to future iOS updates? To be completely honest, it will change again. As new versions of iOS are coming out, I'm sure it will change again. compared to today, compared to where we were even 10 months ago, 9 months ago, I have to say that the outlook regarding targeting is looking a lot better than it was then. I feel like I really did see for my clients a hiccup in the spring of last year. However, things seem to be leveling out. That being said, I truly anticipate that, as new versions of iOS roll out, the ads landscape is going to change. Even Apple is creating they've got their own advertising network too, which I anticipate really being a factor in our Facebook and Instagram ads in the future. But that being said, even with all of the craziness from last year, I still found our ads to be extremely effective. And like I said, things feel much more stable than they did even a year ago. Yeah, great question, Jamie. So Jamie's wondering, is it possible to advertise mobile apps for iOS 14? Yeah, definitely. I will show you guys when we jump in here. And Jamie, make sure to ping me in here again too if I forget. But when I do a screen share and show you guys my screen, I'll show you where we can target if you just want to target apps. That's absolutely an option. And then Heather, just so this doesn't fall off my radar, Heather was said that she's part of the UW, which currently does not allow Facebook WordPress plug-in. Does this mean I can't run ads? No, I wouldn't think so. Heather, I'd have to see, and we can even feel free to email me after and we can take this conversation offline. But as a quick note, you don't necessarily need any kind of Facebook WordPress login or plugin, excuse me. There is, you should have a web developer who can insert your pixel code on your website, and that will allow Facebook to sync up with your website and allow for the tracking and the data from your site to head to Facebook too. So I wouldn't, just because you can't install a certain plugin doesn't mean that the code can't be hard coded into your website. All right, any other questions before we go ahead and move into screen share? Okay. Okay, wonderful, very cool. All right, so what I'm going to do here. All right, so we're going to dive into Business Manager now. Essentially what Business Manager is it's where everything in your ads world needs to live, and really all of your online assets regarding or related to Facebook really should live. So this is where your page can live, your Instagram account, your pixel, your domain verification, whoops, permission. So giving people permission to your page, all of this should really live within your Business Manager account. If you don't have one set up, there are instructions within the workbook on how to do so, but I just want to show you guys around Facebook Business Manager so that you can see what this looks like. What I want you to think of it as is essentially it's a place that will house your ad account. The reason I like moving everything into Business Manager, again, this is through Facebook Business Manager is, but the reason I like moving everything to Business Manager is that it's really easy to control permissions, which as an agency is extremely important to me. And even as like the companies and organizations we work with, if people come, if people go, it's a very nice, easy way to control and see who has access and who doesn't have access. So this is what the back end of Business Manager looks like. If you head to business.facebook.com, it'll prompt you to go ahead and connect your page, your ad account, and it'll help you get everything set up here. Again, there should be directions on the workbook on how to do so, but just head to business.facebook.com and you'll see that we've got, it's very clear what to do. It'll ask you to connect your page and everything. So once it's connected, your screen will look something like mine. So here we are within Business Manager. Just want to show you guys around a couple things. So there are a few key places that I live when I'm within Business Manager and my ad account for clients. One of them is business settings. I clicked on this little gear icon on the bottom left corner, and I've got my 2-factor set up. So give me just a moment here. I have it set up to text me a code just to make sure that it is me. Okay. All right, so here we are within business settings. Like I said, I clicked on this little gear on the bottom left-hand corner. Look for a gear anywhere that will bring you to kind of like your home base of where you need to be to make sure that everybody has the permissions that they need. So when we are in Business Manager here, you can also toggle on over to the 3 horizontal bars and get to your business settings this way. This is where over here on the left-hand side, you can see that we have users. So these are people that might be on your team, partners, if you're working with an agency. You can see that we can connect our page, our ad account. Really, everything important for your business should be living now within Business Manager. From here, though, if you're wondering, well, how do I get to my ad account? Drop down your menu bar, and then you click on Ads Manager, and it will bring you to Ads Manager. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to show you all through Ads Manager, show you exactly what we're looking at here. If you're not someone who is in it all the time, it might look different from the last time you were here. It does update frequently, but I have to say that as of recently, I feel like those changes have slowed down a little bit this past year, which has been nice. So what are we looking at here? I want you to take a look at these four little tabs up at the top. So first is the Resource Center. This is where they will tell you everything that they recommend you start doing for your ad account. So, but there will be tasks. You can see that there's a task here. There's a red exclamation mark that tells me to review my audiences that have decreased in size. I know that my audiences have decreased in size due to iOS 14, but just know that you can read through this. There's a bunch of updates and news. To be honest, I don't spend a lot of time here. A lot of this information actually gets emailed to anybody who's connected to the ad account. So they'll have updates and whatnot happening and living here within the Resource Center, but I get all of these within email too. Okay, so first things first, here we are at the campaign level. So campaign level, this is essentially where we are naming our campaign and telling Facebook what we're optimizing for. What I mean by that is we need to let them know if we are optimizing this campaign and our main goal is to get purchases, if our main goal is to get someone to sign up for a newsletter, or if our main goal is to get someone to maybe book us for services. We set all of that here at the campaign level. Now, at the ad set level, this is where we are going ahead and doing our audience targeting. Audience targeting, we're setting our budget, we're setting the start date, end date. A lot of the important details happen here at the ad set level. And then at the ad level, that is where we are actually going through and designing the ads themselves. So let's take you guys. All right, I'm going to take you guys through just to see a little bit of what this looks like in action. So first things first here. And again, your screen should look similar to mine. If it looks a little bit different, just try to find a plus create button so that you can go ahead and have your screen look similar. So here we are. All I did was I clicked create here, and then the screen pops up for me. So you can see that they're giving me all these different options. So this is what I'm talking about when I said we have to select our objective. You have to decide what is your end goal for your ads. I want you to think about, is it simply brand awareness? Are you a new business in an area and you just want to get the word out? Do you have a blog post that you're looking to send traffic to? Maybe you know that this is really high value. People will want to read this. Maybe there's some call to action in there that you want people to take. Is traffic the best goal for you? Maybe conversion. Maybe you're looking to get people to purchase or to sign up for something in particular. Conversion is going to be the route you want to go. I'm typically for my clients sticking mainly with conversion ads. There's absolutely a place and a time for ads like video views, maybe even lead generation. But that is more top of funnel strategy. So essentially strategy to get a lot of eyeballs and interest drummed up for our businesses. But to be honest, most of the time I'm hanging out here looking out to get a conversion. So anyway, you go ahead and select the objective that you want. And if you're not sure too, one other thing to note is if you hover over this, it will tell you exactly why you might want to get someone to, if you hover over this, it'll tell you like why you would want to choose this objective, excuse me. And someone in our chat had asked about app installs. If you're looking to run an app install campaign, make sure to select that here. Okay, so here we are at the campaign level. Now what we're going to do is we are moving on to our ad set level. Oh, excuse me. No, it just wants me to rename my campaign. I'm just going to do test DreamBank. And also, can you guys let me know, jump in the chat if by chance, if this screen is too small, if you could just drop me a message and I can enlarge it here. Okay, great. Nicholas, make sure we, at the end of the session here, we'll chat through any pixel issues that you have. So, okay, so here we are, campaign level. I'm just calling this my test DreamBank campaign. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to skim past this. These are kind of just details that I'm typically not dealing with for clients. I'll quickly share with you what they are. If you're running a special ad category, meaning if you're running anything related to social issues, politics, housing, employment, you just have to select and let them know that, like, let's say you're running ads to get someone to apply for a job, just make sure you select if it is one of their, what they call their special categories. So anyway, A/B test, if you want to do any kind of testing, you can go ahead and toggle this on. I do testing all the time, every single day for our clients, but what I'm doing is I do it manually, so I don't really play with this. In campaign budget optimization, this is where they choose to spread your money. CBO is an interesting one. So this is where they go ahead and they decide how they're distributing your money across your audiences. Again, I personally like the control of knowing exactly how much is going to each of my audiences. So I don't play around with campaign budget optimization too much. So anyway, just so you guys know, again, in summary, campaign level, I would just be setting the name of your campaign here. And then we go ahead and we move on to our ad set level. So campaign, ad set, ad over here on the left-hand side. All right, so here we are in our ad set. This is my favorite place to be. This is where we get to set up our audience targeting. So for example, ad set name, this is where we can call it, let's say I'm going to make a fake campaign advertising our event here today. So let's call this entrepreneurs. Let's say I'm trying to target an entrepreneur audience. Now, this is where I'm trying to measure a conversion that's happening on my website. Again, the person who had asked about app, if the conversion is happening on the app, make sure you select app here. So then pixel, make sure you select your pixel. And then down here, I get to select what my conversion event is. So what am I looking to get people to do? Let's say I'm trying to get people to sign up for my email list. It's letting me know that I haven't prioritized this. So like I said, if you haven't gone through the steps of verifying your domain and everything with Facebook, you might get a little error like this. I haven't prioritized this event according to Facebook. So they're just giving me a message just to let me know about that. So anyway, select your pixel. If you're running a conversion campaign, then this is where you'll have to select what it is that you want people to do. You see that I have a whole variety of options I can choose here, such as optimizing for add to cart, or if my goal was to get people to purchase my course, or to, whatever it might be, a complete registration. If there's like a form on my website, note that we've got a lot of different options there. All right. Next, I'm going to skip past dynamic creative for now. And next, this is where we set our budget and our schedule. So we can set either a daily budget or we can set a lifetime budget. Difference is daily. Obviously, this is telling me about how much it will spend every day. I say about because you can see the small text underneath says that it will spend up to $25 on some days. So it's just letting you know on average, they're going to spend around $20. I've never had anything get too out of whack and too crazy. Every once in a while, I'll get a refund for like 14 cents. Like we spent 14 cents more. I've never had any crazy issue with it. But just note that it's approximate. The reason they do that is some days will be slower. Some days more traction will pick up and they want to be able to put more money on those days where they think your ads need it. So there's a daily budget, but there's also a lifetime budget too. So if you by chance wanted to say like, hey, we've got $1,500 set up for this campaign, that's all that we're able to do, set a lifetime budget and it will make sure that you're not spending more than you can. All right, so here we are looking at the start date, and then you can always set an end date as well. Very important one to make sure that you don't burn through money for months on end. Many times, if we take over an ad account from someone else who has tried, we'll see that ads have been running and they forgot to turn it off. So always make sure you set an end date, or you can manually turn it off too, but just an important thing to note. Okay, so scrolling down at the bottom of the ad set level is audience. This is like one of my favorite places to play around with. Later today, we actually have a whole session dedicated to audience targeting and our messaging regarding those audiences. So I'm not going to dive too much into the weeds regarding audience targeting right now, but know that when you're creating audiences, this is where it happens. Brief overview for you. You can go ahead, you can change your location here, change your age, your gender, and then this is where you can also, down below here, add in any kind of demographic or interest-based behavior, such as, like, let's say I'm trying to reach entrepreneur. Well, I can just type in entrepreneur and see what happens. And what's neat is that it'll pull up categories that they have. So entrepreneurship, entrepreneur magazine, female entrepreneur. You can see that there are so many different options here. Let's say I just do entrepreneurship. Something I'm going to pay attention to is what happens over here on the right-hand side. So this is telling me about how large this audience is. 55 million. That is a very, very, very large audience. I probably want something a little bit more dialed in. So maybe it's even me playing around with the ages. Maybe I'm looking for people ages 25. I don't know, just making this up here, but you'll see how do you see how that already knocked off 10 million? We'll want to do a little bit of playing around. Facebook will let you know if your audience is too broad, but what I'd recommend you do is, entrepreneurship, that's good, but maybe we can even think a little bit more in depth about who specifically I'm looking to reach with these ads. Let's say I am looking to reach people. Well, look, I can even click suggestions. They'll give me related topics, which is nice. Sometimes you might like some of them, you might not like others. Let's say I'm looking to reach people who are self-employed, or I'm trying to reach small business owners, or someone who's a freelancer. There are so many different options and angles I could go here. This is just a mock-up, but anyway, maybe I'll get rid of that small business owner because that was pretty large. And when you hover over this too, you can see that it'll show you how big that size is. So anyway, this is where you are going ahead and adding any of that interest-based targeting. If you've created any kind of saved audience, like an email list, again, we'll show you how to do that later today. All of those will be here, as well as lookalike audiences too. All right, if you want to save this audience, if you really like what you created, you put a lot of hard work into it, you can go ahead and click save this audience and it'll be there for next time. If all else fails, you're not really sure who to target, drop this down, take a look. Are you looking to reach parents? Are you looking to reach people within a certain industry? There are a lot of different ideas that they can give you here as to who you might want to be targeting. Okay, so very last thing before we go ahead and move to the ad level, which is where the actual ad creation happens, is placements. I want you guys to pay very close attention to this. Facebook automatically places our ads in many different places. So like I said, on one of the first screens I showed you, so we're talking Facebook news feed, Instagram feed, stories, they'll put it on Facebook Marketplace, they'll put it on the right-hand column, they'll put it in many locations that, to be completely honest, won't be turning a profit for you. They recommend this, and why they recommend this is because they want to recommend it to get as many eyes as possible on your content. But I want you to take a step back and think about, again, if my end goal is just to get eyeballs, great. I would keep it an automatic placement then. But if your goal is a little bit more specific, like for my clients in particular, we're focusing on making sure that either sales are coming in, forms are being submitted, people are making a purchase, I'd really suggest opening this up to manual placements and just taking a look at all of the different places that these ads are being delivered. So it might not be relevant for my ads to be in Facebook Marketplace. If I were running ads for today's event, I'm not going to be reaching you on Facebook Marketplace, right? Like that's where I'm probably reaching you on your Instagram stories, your Facebook feed. I'm not reaching you. I shouldn't be paying for my ads to go to Facebook Marketplace. So this is a really good hack to save you a little bit of money. And you can see when you hover over this, it'll show you what all those placements look like. So I'm typically turning off my video feed, my right column. So again, this is over on the way right-hand side of Facebook. That's where this will be. Instagram Explore. Yeah, I think there's definitely a time and a place for Instagram Explore, Instagram Shop. So if this is an actual e-commerce, so like for our e-com brands, yeah, we're running it on Instagram Shopping. But like, again, for today, if I were running ads for event registration, I'm not going to be reaching you when you're shopping. At least that probably should not be my tactic. And then moving on here, we have Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Messenger stories, Instagram Reels. I'm removing my Facebook stories and my Messenger stories. We've tested it out, but generally the ads just aren't feeding out there, nor are we seeing conversions there. Reels. This is a super fun one. We're going to dive into Reels a little bit here today. But anyway, just know that that's an option now for your ads. So you can create a reel and actually have it run in your ads. Super, super fun, especially if you have a reel that you've created that ends up doing well. If you're not familiar with Reels, I'll give the analogy of TikTok. If you're not familiar with TikTok, essentially what it is, short, quick, catchy video content, something around 15 seconds or so. But again, you have a second or so to grab someone's attention. So these are short videos, kind of, fast moving. They're catchy, maybe fun music. etc. So that's essentially what an Instagram reel is. I'm typically turning off in stream as well. So this would be playing while someone is watching a video. Your message could slide in there. Again, there's a time and a place for that. I would say maybe more if you're in any kind of like coaching niche or something like that. If someone was watching some kind of related video, yours could show up, but I'm typically not spending money on that. Reels overlay, I'm typically not doing this as well. So you can see, again, hover over it and you can see that I can't hover here and show you, but if you look up on my screen, right here, watch how it pops up here in the top right-hand corner. You see that where it says Jasper's sponsored. So again, you can see that's just not my favorite place to have it. I wouldn't spend money on that. Facebook search, you could do it, take it or leave it. And then same with an article. I'm not going to spend money for Facebook instant articles. Apps and sites. So to the person who had asked about apps and sites, again, this is another thing. Make sure that you are having this so that it serves on other people's apps and websites. It's something that I would recommend. So anyway, as you can see, a whole lot is happening here at the ad set level. In summary, before we move on to the ad level, this is where we are setting up who we're targeting. We're naming it. So this is like my entrepreneur's audience. This is where we are setting up our conversion. So letting them know what it is that we want out of this campaign, or setting our budget. This is where we're setting up who we're targeting, and then where we are serving this ad. So anyway, before we move on to the ad level, over here on the right-hand side, again, this is telling us about how many people we're reaching, and then, or I should say, excuse me, how big the audience is, but underneath is where we have our estimated daily reach. So it says, on average, based on how much money I've put in for a budget, we'll be reaching around 670 to 1,900 people a day. They anticipate that I would get under 10 conversions a day. I take this a little bit with a grain of salt. It all depends on how good your ads are. If your ads are good, your offer is great, your website's wonderful. I don't get too put off here by the number of conversions, because they don't know what's about to come from my ads. They don't know what my website looks like, what my conversion rate is, etc. So anyway, and again, this is just setting up one audience. We can set up, and I strongly, strongly recommend you test out multiple different audiences. That's truly where you're going to save money, is when testing out one audience versus another. So anyway, this is where I set up one audience. I can show you too how we duplicate and create another audience, but let's go ahead and move on to our ad level. And actually, you know what? Before we move on to the ad level, this was a lot of information here. What questions do you guys have regarding the ad set level before I go ahead and move on to anything ad specific?
And Jenny, while people are thinking and typing their questions, still no fix yet on the chat. We might have to just create a new Zoom webinar, which if I do go ahead and do so, I will let you all know, and then it will be located in that box on Podia. So you won't have to search for it or find it. Just when we start the next session, go ahead and press that updated Zoom link. That should have the chat fix. Sorry about that, folks. I can't seem to figure it out.
You know what, Andy, all the same though, I feel like this Q&A is just fine personally.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know in the Q&A either way. But yeah, go ahead and direct your questions there.
Yeah, cool. Because to be honest, even with the chat, like I wouldn't anticipate I would be typing too much there anyway. I'll mostly just be answering this out loud. So anyway, but you let me know, Andy, whatever you'd like to do, but this is working just fine for me. So, all right. Want to go ahead and run through this. Again, Nicholas, at the very end, we'll go ahead and chat through Pixel with any remaining time that we have. So Heather has a question here. How does the audience information in Business Manager differ from the Ads Manager under the Managing My Business page? Heather, I'm going to need a little bit of clarification on this question. I think I know what you're asking, but I might have it wrong. Are you wondering, so you have a Facebook page for your business. Are you wondering how like the audience insights, so what you're able to know about the people who follow you, how that differs from targeting in here? Is that your question? If you could just go ahead and type some clarification, that would be great. Oh, you guys can't see. So Wendy just said Q&A isn't fine if you can't see anyone's questions. So you guys can't see this. Is that it? All right. So Amanda has a question. She said, for a first-time campaign, what starting budget would you recommend? Great question. My bare minimum that I recommend, $15 a day per audience. So what that looks like is if you want to test out 3 audiences, then I would be prepared for $45 a day. If that's more than you have and more than you're anticipating wanting to spend, what I strongly recommend is start strong. I wouldn't start with simply a couple dollars a day or a few dollars a day. I would rather get that testing phase done, get it done quickly. You know, if you could test for just a couple weeks and know what your winning audience is, then you don't have to spend, you know, $45 a day for the rest of forever. I would do it for just a short period of time to get your testing done. So then, Amanda, to answer your question, including that A/B testing, so it would still be $15 per audience. So if you're testing out your audiences, then I would be prepared for 30 a day at least. Right. Great question. So Jamie is wondering for the conversion right down here. She said, can you edit the buttons to say the text you would like, or is it pre-selected by Facebook? So Jamie, I'm assuming what you mean for this conversion is, did I write this free download email sign up, or is that pre-selected by Facebook? Later today, I'm going to show you how it is that we set up all these custom conversion events, because that's a great question. There will be ones populated by Facebook, such as purchase. Typically, I see purchase, add to cart, initiate checkout, page view, typically a complete registration. That's all populated by Facebook. However, if there's anything custom that you want to measure, which I will show you guys, I believe that is in my session. Yeah, that's in one of my afternoon sessions. We are running through how to set up these specific conversion events. So if there's something like, for example, this free download email sign up, this is actually from a pop-up form on my website. Facebook didn't automatically track it. And so I had to set up something custom. So we'll go through the nuts and bolts of setting up that conversion event later today. All right. So we have another question. As a nonprofit, I run year-end videos which highlight our organization, invite people to donate. Should I use video views or conversion as an objective? Fantastic question. Love this question. So if your goal is to get people to go ahead and donate, I would run donate specific ads, but I would use your video as the content. And I'll show you how we're setting up those ads on when we actually make it to the ad level here. That's the next thing we're going to cover. But to answer your question, I would run it as a campaign where your conversion event is donate. But I would use those year-end videos. Videos do phenomenally. Majority of the time, your videos will outperform any kind of static image that you're using or any kind of graphic you create. So 100% go for the donation, but I would use your video view, or I would use your video as the content that you're using in the ads. Okay, great. So clarifying on a question that we got earlier from Heather. So she was wondering, she's run ads before through her page manager, but she hasn't used Business Manager. Heather, what I'd strongly recommend you start doing is start migrating over and using your Business Manager to house your ad account. You should be able to even sync up and hook up your ad account that you've used already. You should be able to hook that up within your Business Manager here. And that would be my strong recommendation moving forward. Again, through Page Manager, you should be able to see a good amount of this, but not all of it. And truly the magic with Facebook ads comes in when you can use the full extent of the power of them. It's a similar idea to boosting. Like you can see some options. Yeah, we can, know how many impressions we had. We can have some selective targeting, but there are many, many more options here that you don't have when you run ads through the actual page. Okay. Yes, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to take very last question here before we move on and I show you how we actually set up the ad. Anne has a question about how she heard that Facebook goes through a quote unquote learning phase. And that's why spending $1,000 per phase is recommended. Can you please comment on that? What can those of us with small budgets do instead? Great question. Learning phase. So many people get scared by it, and do not be scared by it. Do not be scared even if your ad continues to be stuck in learning phase forever. Your ads will perform. My biggest focus for all of my clients is making sure that the ads are doing well and that they are working. If I have a very, very, very well-oiled machine, it will leave the learning phase and it will just be regularly running on its own. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. It's something ridiculous, and it's something like they need, I don't know, like 30 conversions or so a day to exit that learning phase. And so I'm a part of a few different groups, but one of them is the Facebook advertiser community. And we listen in on every week. We've got professional development regarding this. And this is a topic that does come up from people who are, advertisers who are like, my ads aren't leaving the learning phase. And what Facebook is recommending to us is don't be concerned about it. At the end of the day, if your ads are performing, being in the learning phase isn't the end of the world. Many of my clients' campaigns are in learning phase, and they yield phenomenal results for the businesses. So I wouldn't be too concerned. If my clients have a huge budget, yeah, we're exiting the learning phase quickly, but don't let that hold you back. And don't let that make you think that you need to spend $1,000, like to bump up your ad spend so you can exit that learning phase. That's not going to be the answer. Okay, awesome questions, you guys. I love this. I love all of the questions. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So quick review for us here. So again, we set up our campaign over here on the left-hand side. That's where I just created the title, Test DreamBank Campaign. Then I created my entrepreneurs audience, and I went ahead and I set up my budget. And then now we are moving on to the ad level. So at the ad level, you'll see don't be put off by like the error messages that are here. There's a lot that might pop up as you're creating. It's simply telling me that, I need to hook up my Instagram account. Now it's saying I need a URL. We'll get there. Don't be concerned by any kind of error messages over here. So I'm just going to call it ad one. And we'll just say that I'm using an image. One thing that I'm very particular about when running client campaigns is how I'm naming the ads. And I'd strongly recommend you guys get in a good habit of this too. When I set up new campaigns, I'm testing out a few different ads, several different ads. We've got more than one version of each ad. So I would recommend saying something like ad one, image one, or maybe ad copy one, meaning that this is using the first ad copy version that I came up with. Image one, then I might have an image two, or I might have a video one or video two, excuse me. So just make sure that you're naming this something that it makes sense to you so that when you come back, you can be like, oh, image one was the winner. Now let me try image one with a different background color or whatever it might be. I just like naming this so that you can come in and know easily what you're looking at. Okay, so now we are looking at our ad setup. We can either create an ad from scratch. You can use an existing post or use a Creative Hub mockup. You can, as an agency, we send over like mockups to our clients in something called the Creative Hub. So it's just a place where you can create them before they get put in here. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Instead, I want you to just focus on creating an ad or using an existing post. For those of you who like boosting, good time to pay attention. Use existing posts. So what I can do is I actually can snag a post from my Facebook or Instagram feed. Take a look. If you wanted to, you could. So this was something that I had posted on Instagram. I could snag it and I could actually use it as an ad. Now, why is this different than boosting? Again, because I'm setting this up as an actual conversion campaign. Reminder that my conversion was to get people to sign up. Whereas if I'm clicking boost, it's simply going to try to get it in front of as many eyeballs as possible, but it's not optimizing with the end goal of getting people to sign up. That is the really big difference here. So anyway, if you're a booster and you want to take, or maybe you had a post that did really well, it's not a bad idea to think about this, but I would say 85% of the time we are clicking create ad and we're creating an ad from scratch. But I just wanted to show that option to anybody who might be a little hesitant or would like to, maybe you do, like I said, maybe you have a post that's gone viral or that you need to get a lot of eyeballs on. You could always click on use existing post. So anyway, all right, here we are. So creating an ad, I'm going to go through and just show you kind of our basic way of doing this. So you can either do a single image or a video. You could run it as a carousel. So that's where people are swiping through and seeing multiple different images. You can also do a collection. This is better for like our e-commerce, where you can see a group of items from like a particular collection of items of yours. So here we are for ad creative. So this is where we get to go ahead and either upload our video, upload our image, or if you have a catalog, again, if you're e-com, you can go ahead and sync this up with like the back end of your website and it'll pull in your products. All right. Okay, so let's say, for example, we'll just take this. So what it's going to do is it's going to show you what this looks like on stories, what this looks like on feed. Why this is important is this, as you can see, if this wasn't my goal was to have a very zoomed up picture of my face, I might want to have that swapped out. I'm probably going to want to create something specific for stories. But anyway, again, that's a session later on today, kind of how we create something special for stories. But this looks fine to me for mobile. That's if I want just a picture of me, there it is. This is allowing for enhancement. So this is if you like, if your image is dark or gloomy and you want to enhance it, you can click on allow enhancements and Facebook will give it a little facelift. But anyway, so here we are. This is what my ad is shaking out to look like at the moment. So there's just a picture of me. I have nothing else inputted yet. Underneath it, underneath our media. So this is where we put in our primary text. So this is the text that goes in your ad right here. All right, so take a look over here on the right-hand side. So I just wanted to show you guys where this text pops up. It comes right above your image. Then underneath it is your headline. And again, we're diving into best practices for your text, for your headline, for description. We're talking all that later today. Again, this is our very first like building the foundation. So I just want to let you guys know I'm purposely not diving too much into the details that will be coming later today. So headline, whatever we want people to do should be made quite apparent in this headline. So let's say my goal was to get people to sign up for today's session. I would have it be something like free Facebook ads plus email marketing VIP day. I even have, yeah, so there it is. You can see this is where the headline is. It's right at the bottom. I can tweak my button as well. Like, let's say I wanted people to know that this was something that they would be signing up for. I've got learn more, but I could also change it to sign up. So it's very clear that that's what my call to action is here. So let me swap out this primary text for something that makes a bit more sense. I would say, join us on January 18th for an all-day immersive VIP day. Bring your biggest questions regarding Facebook, Instagram ads. I'm just making this up off the top of my head, but you can get the idea that this is where you'd want to put in all relevant information that you want people to read. The description, it tells you that it's optional. Let me show you where this will show up. It's going to be right underneath. It will be right underneath here, and it shows up on Facebook desktop. So if there was anything extra, let's say like seats are limited, grab yours before we're sold out, something like that. So just note that it would be showing again right underneath here if we were showing it on Facebook desktop. So it's optional. You don't need to have it. Okay, so now for URL. This is where you put in your URL. Putting in my website just for simplicity's sake. All right, again, there are some extra, so this is really going into the weeds, so I'm not going to dive into it too much, but if you had like a Facebook event that you're looking to send people to, so let's say DreamBank had set up a Facebook event that they wanted me to send traffic to instead of my website, you could link that here and it'll hook that up. Down here at the bottom, you'll see that it's tracking. It says that it's tracking with my pixel, green light, showing me that everything's good to go. And then I would go ahead and click publish. I'm not going to because this is just a fake mock-up campaign. But anyways, just again, wanted to kind of show you guys from start to finish, what does this actual ad setup process look like? One other kind of cool feature that has come somewhat recently is that we can see, so what it looks like on newsfeed, Instagram feed, Instagram Explorer. This is what it looks like on stories. So again, this is where I'd probably want something different, a graphic that says, hey, join us for a free VIP day, swipe up to register, that kind of thing. And you see that there's an error message here. All this error message is saying is that it needs a different kind of media to deliver it to Reels. Reels is a video platform, so I would need to upload a video in order to get it to show up on Reels. So just to show you guys a little bit of troubleshooting, Facebook can be finicky, as I'm sure you know if you've been in here. If I try to click publish, it's probably going to give me an angry message that says, fix your Reels placement. I'm going to turn off my Reels right now because I don't have a video uploaded. So let me remove that. Right here. Okay, so there we are. Again, click publish, and then my ad will be submitted for review. After it's reviewed by Facebook, it will go live. Typically review could take as little as 5 minutes, could take up to 12 hours. I think they give you a longer time frame than that, but I'm generally seeing that in less than a day, things will get reviewed by them. If you get any kind of pushback, meaning like if they get rejected, I believe when we talk through our ad copy, I've got a list of like topics that typically get rejected from them. If there are ever sensitive topics such as like housing, employment, if there's anything related to weapons, alcohol, sometimes those are more difficult to get approved. So just as a heads up to you, that could be something that you guys run into depending on your business. So I'm going to open up our Q&A here too. So we have, let's see, great. We're doing just fine on time. So we've got just shy of 30 minutes, and I would love to just dive into what questions you guys have so far. So please feel free to drop them in the Q&A and I will be answering them. While I'm waiting for questions to come in too, something that I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you guys if I did want to fix that Reels placement and I did want to show it on Reels, just kind of want to show you what that looks like uploading a special creative for Reels specifically. So I'm going to turn back on my Reels placement. I'm going to head on over here. All right, and then I'm going to click on Instagram Reels. I'm going to click Edit. Okay, so it's saying to deliver to Reels, you have to change the media. So what I'm going to do is click change. And I've got old videos. These are like very old videos that are uploaded on my account. But let's just say this one right here. So what I can do is I can go ahead and select a video, click save, and then you'll see that this message should go away. So there we are. There's a video that I recorded a while ago, and this could now deliver to Reels. All right. Great question. So Heather said, is there anything specific to know about posting an employment ad? Absolutely. When posting an employment ad, a couple things to keep in mind. First, the targeting is very, very limited. It didn't used to be this way, but it is now, meaning you can't get as nitty-gritty specific as you used to be able to, essentially due to fear of accidentally discriminating against people. So just know that your targeting capabilities, they will be limited. You might have to cast a wider net than you would want to. So just as a heads up to you, you'll play around with it and you'll see that you do have limited options in regards to, age, gender, things like that. One of the nice things though, is that you can, if it's a language specific role, if you needed someone who was specifically Spanish speaking for a role, like maybe an interpreter role or something like that, just know that that is an option to place based on languages spoken, which is really nice. Let's see. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, and then the only other thing, Heather, is that when you are setting this up, just going to exit out of here. Okay, so when you are setting this up, just want to show you, just make sure that you select that this is a special category for employment. And then they might even ask for you like some identity verification. When we have these special ad categories, sometimes they ask you to take a picture of like a photo ID just to verify that it's you, etc. So just be prepared for that you might get an email from Facebook asking for that. And then when we are here. Yeah, so you'll see here, Heather, what I was saying is, it says when using custom audiences, be sure that your audience selections do not discriminate against people based on certain personal characteristics. So anyway, you can see here. So for example, we have to choose all genders. We can't do just men or women. And then our demographic and interest-based behavior, the options, there are still options here, but they're just a lot more limited than they are. So. All right. Yeah, wonderful. So Amanda says, what ads do you recommend for real estate? We've used message ads as end goal, but do you suggest conversion? That's a great question. So Amanda, what I would want to know is, you know what, actually, Andy, can I open this up for people to actually talk with me? Because my question, follow-up question for you, Amanda, is, yeah, you can run ads with an end goal being to get people to shoot you a message. But if there's something different that you want, I would I would like, let's say, for example, you would really love people to just book you for a free coffee chat or a meetup of some sort. You could change it to be a conversion objective and maybe have a form on your website ready to go for people to book you, in real time for a meetup on your calendar, or maybe a virtual meetup on your calendar, something like that. I think message is okay, but I do want you to think about just the intent behind someone who might be sending you a message. What kind of messages are you getting? If you're a real estate agent and people are like, I imagine, if I just had to guess without seeing your ad account, I imagine some people are probably reaching you and being like, hey, can you help me find a house? Or, hey, what is my house worth? Like, I imagine you probably get a number of low quality leads coming in that way. So I would encourage you to just think of like, what is that next step up? If what you really want is for people to book you for a free like consult with you, then I would say I would set up a form specific to that, because I think that you risk getting, I think, a number of people who probably are low quality leads coming in through messages. That is one of the risks of running messages that I've seen.
Yeah, Jenny, Amanda, if you can hear me now, I gave you permission to speak. So I don't know, Jenny, if you had some dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Amanda, it looks like you.
Okay, I'm sorry if my voice cuts in and out. I'm quarantined right now, so.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. We usually do message ads geared towards specific properties. So,
okay.
Chat to message if you want to learn more about this property.
Yeah.
We do some other through our lead generation department.
Okay.
That are 7 mistakes sellers make, and it leads to the form capture. So I just didn't know if conversions were the right way to go with the properties, or to try it out, or stay with the messages.
Sure. So I have a question before I even answer that for you. I have a follow-up question for you. These properties in particular, are they ones that would sell quickly on their own, or are these properties that are maybe more expensive? You need to get more eyeballs on them. What's the thought process behind running ads for specific property?
So I just started, and the first one we did was a more expensive property, and we got 2 solid leads from it. We get some people who I think are scrolling on their phones and accidentally hit chat to message, and we get like an unsubscribe message from them.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to target, as we get into spring market, like the $250,000, $300,000 mark, where more people are looking. Right now it's a little bit slow in that area. But there is some thought process that I don't just throw any house up there.
Yep.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And what is the typical price point of where in the United States are you?
I'm in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay. And is that 250 to 300-ish? That's kind of like your bread and butter? Are most people purchasing in that category?
Yeah. Our average price for our team right now is like $249.
Okay. One thing to think through is, what if you got, like, with that price point being kind of that really solid average price point, if those houses are going to sell on their own, is that worth your money to invest? Would it be better? So like you said, I know you're investor, or you said you ran ads for a more expensive property right now. I think that would probably be my recommended route. However, I feel like I'm digressing a little bit, but my head's just going towards strategy of like, is that the best use of your money? But to get back to your original question so you were running message ads, so getting people to shoot you a message within Facebook Messenger. And then so I would have to see the ad in front of me, but I'm assuming it's, hey, check out this property, click here to message us to learn more. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, pretty much. And then when they message, if they say like, yes, I'm interested, I have it filtered where it says like, text me more info about this property. I'd like to see this property. It has like 3 options that they can click. So we can kind of pre-qualify. And then once they click one, it always asks for a phone number or an email address that we can send the information to, if it's just send me more information. Right. So we use it as a lead gen technique as well. But usually I set them to go, if I have all the pictures and everything prior to it going live, I'll have everything set up and ready to go. So when the house does go live, I can, push it through. And then if it goes pretty quickly, I let it run for a couple hours after, just to see if we can capture a few more leads who may be looking for homes like that.
Absolutely. Amanda, you've got an awesome strategy. That sounds great. I love that you have, my biggest concern for you would just be making sure that they're quality enough leads, but it sounds like they are quality leads. If you're not having any issues with them being people who are just, if you're not paying for 20 leads a day that are just miscellaneous people that probably won't be future clients of yours, then I wouldn't worry about it. I think your strategy is perfect. I would not recommend you change to a conversion campaign. If you're happy with what you're seeing, then I would keep with that. If you were a company that didn't have the lead capture set up on the back end, then I would say, yeah, let's switch to a conversion. But it sounds like you're able to capture the info the way you have it set up. So I would keep with what you have.
Perfect. Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah, you're welcome. And one last thing, Amanda, too, is make sure that if you are spending more money, say the spring coming up with the housing market potentially picking up, what I would recommend doing is making sure that you set on there. Have you seen there's like a toggle to switch on like a higher intent person?
Yes.
Have you seen that? Yeah, just make sure you have that toggled on so that will weed out some of your like low quality leads.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Yes. Okay. Definitely. So we had a question, and I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Lysiane. So you were wondering about how she was the one who has the nonprofit, and she said she runs some year-end video ads. How could that set up? What would that look like? Thank you so much for the reminder. Let me go ahead and show you right now how we're doing that. So again, you'd set up, let me just start from the very beginning. Okay. I'm just going to discard this draft. Make sure that doesn't get published. All right. So what I would do is I'd go ahead and I would click create. I would then go ahead and create a conversion campaign. My end goal would be getting donations for your nonprofit. So here is what I would be doing. I'm going to scroll on down. And I don't know who it is that you're looking to reach. I'm just going to create. Just say sample, but under conversion event, this is where we would have some sort of donate button. Donate. You can see again, it's saying that there's no recent activity because there's no way to donate on my website. But again, in our later sessions, I'll show you how to make sure that your website is set up to relay this information to show Facebook that donate is something that we want to track. But anyway, what you would do is you would click donate. You'd set your budget, you'd set your start date, end date, etc. You'd set up your audience that you want. Again, I would strongly recommend turning off your audience network. I'd probably turn off your messenger. I would just stick with, depending on where your audience is, right? Like typically our younger, our millennial, our Gen Z, they're going to be hanging out on Instagram most. Typically our millennial on up will be on Facebook. So that's just something to keep in mind. If your donors are all say 40 years and older, I probably wouldn't spend too much of your money on Instagram, just as kind of a gut instinct. So I would just focus on Facebook newsfeed, maybe Instagram if you have some younger donors too. All right, and that's totally a stereotype. It's not to say that you can't have people like my mother's on Instagram. She loves Instagram. So they're all different age groups use both platforms, but just typically speaking, we're seeing most people ages, I would say, 30 to 35 on up will be on Facebook. So anyway, getting onto though, how you would set this up. So I would then at your ad level, I would just call this, let's say you have a couple different video ads. Let's just call this video 1. Then what I would do is I would come on down. I'm going to turn off dynamic form. Basically dynamic means that if I had like a catalog or whatnot, so if I were an e-commerce business, had multiple different products, it could dynamically show people products that they were looking at, but I'm not going to worry about that for this. So anyway, again, I'm going to select, this is going to be a single image or video because you have just one video, add media, add video. This is where you would go ahead and upload your video. I don't have too many uploaded on my personal account here. So let's just say this was your end of your promotional video. Then all you would do is, and it'll show you, this is what it looks like. It's telling you that it's recommending cropping it and making it smaller. I'm going to disagree with Facebook. I found personally that when when our ad takes up more real estate on their phone, I've seen our conversion rates personally increase for clients. So, it's small minor details, but I'm a detail oriented person. So anyway, just so you guys know, you can either have it the original format, or they recommend that you crop it in. I'm going to keep it at original. So anyway, regardless, you upload your video, and then that's all that I was talking about is upload your end of year video for donations. Then your primary text would be giving them a very brief explanation of, I'm totally, well, you know what, actually, let me not just make this up. Let me help you. Listen, tell me a little bit about your nonprofit. If you could just, Andy, do you mind allowing her to speak?
I was just going to say, give me one moment.
Yeah. Super brief description of who you guys are and who your donors are, because I could help you come up with some sample messaging.
All right, Lucianne, if you're still with us, you have the ability to go ahead and chat.
Yeah, thanks. The biggest place that I had the question about was just once choosing the campaign objective, whether it should be the conversion, because this last year when I ran our video, I just didn't notice the donation levels were lower than what we had seen in the past based on how I'd set it up. And typically I've chosen video view, and it had been a successful strategy. And this year it just wasn't as much. So I felt like there must be something I was doing on the back end that I could do better. So I guess I hadn't ever thought about it as a conversion event and then using the donate component. So the rest of that I'm very familiar with.
Okay,
and
great.
yeah.
Instagram. Great. Yeah. And you've got it exactly right. The way that you've been thinking about it, I wouldn't say that it's not necessarily wrong. Like you said, you've done it in the past, it's worked. You've gotten donations by running a video view ad. So just to clarify, so everybody can kind of follow what we're talking about here. So Lucianne, what she's done is she in the past has created a new campaign, and she's done it with the objective of video views, meaning we want to get eyeballs on this video. I'm sure it's probably a really nice video, showcases what you guys do. You want to get video views on it. My biggest issue that I have with that kind of strategy, and it's not just pointed at you, it's just in general, many people think like, okay, video views, like this is great content. People need to view and then they're going to donate. Yes, that is how it works. However, unfortunately, Facebook's a machine. It's a robot. It does what you tell it to do. So if you're saying, hey, my end goal is to get people to watch videos, they will get people all day long who are guilty scrollers, and they simply watch videos, and that's their main action that they take on Facebook. However, Facebook is smart enough to know, hey, if you tell them I'm running this as a conversion campaign, I want people who donate, I kid you not, Facebook will know who is likely to donate, who donates to other organizations. They take that into mind when they're serving out that ad. So that's why I'm saying stick the video in your conversion ad and run it as a conversion ad, because as crazy as it sounds, they know exactly what you want people to do. So if you say video view, they will get people, if your coworker next to you is someone who loves watching videos on their phone all day, they will show it to that person versus someone else who you might know that they're really big into donating to nonprofits. They care about, they know that. So my big strategy for you would be to do it as a conversion, sticking in that video.
Great. Yeah, thanks. That's exactly what I needed to understand a little more granularly. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And you're not alone in this.
I think too, I had just allowed Facebook to decide where the placement should be instead of the manual. So I think that was probably the other error that I made this year.
Yeah. Those are two really, really big ones, is telling them where it needs to go. And again, telling them that ultimate end action. I have, and it's night and day. The outcome that you will see is night and day. In fact, I just took over an ad account recently for an agency that I would consider to be maybe an agency that doesn't specialize in e-commerce specifically. How I know that is they had all their campaigns set up as video views, and they're wondering why, the company's wondering why they're not getting sales. And I'm like, well, you're not getting sales because you're telling Facebook all you want is for people to watch this video. You didn't tell Facebook you wanted sales. So just know you're not alone in that. That's a very common mistake, but it is night and day. You will see a dramatic difference in donations if you're optimizing for that.
Great, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. And all right, we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. So Christian was wondering about uploading an email list for targeting. 100%. Christian, we're diving into this more later, but since we have time, let me show you here. So a couple different places that you can access where you're uploading your email list. So one of the places that you can do it is through dropping down your menu bar and then heading on over to audiences. So that's one place to do it. Otherwise, if you are working through your campaign, know that at the ad set level, when you're actually going through, you can do it here too. All you're going to do is click on Create New, Custom Audience, and it'll look the same over on if you had selected audiences when I first showed you, like when I was dropping down the menu bar. So anyway, you just click on Create a New Custom Audience. This is where the magic happens. This is one of my favorite places to be because we can target website visitors. We can target customer list. Christian, this is your email list. They call it customer list. You can target people who have watched videos. So you know how we were just talking about, like, well, what if your goal is to get people to watch videos? Or maybe you want to target people who have watched a large amount of your video, your end of your donation video. You can do that. You can tell Facebook, hey, I want to target people who watch this video. That's an option too. So a lot of wonderful retargeting options here. But anyway, getting back to it, customer list. This is where your email list is. You can import it directly from MailChimp. Otherwise, they do tell you to download a file template. To be completely honest, every single email marketing platform I've worked with, I haven't needed any of these, and I've worked with probably 10 different types of email platforms. All that you need to do is simply upload a CSV file. So you can do, like within your email marketing platform, just do file download as a CSV. So anyway, what I'm doing as I work through this. So like I said, I don't click anything here. They're just letting you know, like, oh, we've got these formatting guidelines. This is what it needs to look like. Don't spend your time here. Instead, log into your email provider. You should be able to just download as a simple CSV, and Facebook will love it. They will take it. So anyway, if you need more info though, that previous slide will help. So I typically am not including a value for the customer. If you're in real estate, you might, but for most of my clients, it's not super relevant. So anyway, here's where you simply drop and drag in that email list, you name it, and then it's there. And that Christian will be a targeting option in the future when you drop this on down. Oh, actually, sorry. When you drop it on down right here, your custom audience, it will be there, your email list. So let's see if I've got one. Yeah. So like an email list, this is old, but anyway, so like here's an old email list I uploaded in July 2020. I could target those people on that list. Okay. Let's see. Any last questions? We've got just a couple minutes here. I guess I have time for one more question if you guys have anything for me.
And while Jenny's, or while we're waiting for any last minute questions to come in, we'll talk about kind of some of the next steps and what to expect. So we'll go ahead and we'll just keep this Zoom link for the rest of today. So we'll have a short break here. We'll be getting started at 10:45 Central Time. And then the next video is it's actually a 20-minute video that we're premiering that Jenny recorded, followed by some Q&A as well. So we'll be getting started promptly at 10:45 Central Standard Time with that video premiering, and then followed by Q&A as well. And again, I just want to remind you that all of the slides and pertinent documents are in that Podia site. They correspond with each of Jenny's and Shannon's presentations that are happening today in chronological order. So be sure to reference those in addition to the agenda as well. So let's see here. It doesn't look like that there's any other questions that are coming in, which is fine. There'll be ample time for any other questions that may come up, obviously, for the future sessions, but anything that maybe jogged your mind or came to mind a little bit later in the day. But with that being said, we will go ahead and cap it there, and we will see you folks at 10:45.
All right. Thanks, Andy.
All right.